Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up, man up, or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve Roy. I'm the host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast, and I want to welcome you to the show. Today, I'm actually really excited with the person we're speaking with. His name is Jason Khalipa. Jason is a CrossFit champion. And if you ever watched the CrossFit Games or you know anything about CrossFit, you've heard his name. He's also a very successful fitness entrepreneur, multi-gym owner. He's an author, world-traveling speaker, and the father to 2 young children. But before we get into your story, Jason, and I want to welcome you, one of the main reasons that I wanted to have you on the show wasn't necessarily because you're a CrossFit champ or an incredible athlete, but after taking a look at some of your stuff and your videos and reading through some of your articles, and you just struck me as such a real down-to-earth, humble dad. You're achieving at a very high level at so many things. Many of us, many guys listening, myself included, we struggle with just excelling at one thing and trying to balance out our life. So you're definitely an inspiration from that regard. So welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, the last couple of years have been really unique. Prior to that, obviously competing and running a business and having our daughter get sick, and life moves on and life moves fast, and learned a lot and just trying to balance everything the best I can.
Yeah, I hear you. I know a lot of your story here. Like I said, I've read quite a bit about some of the different things you have going on. I mean, you have a lot of stuff going on. I mean, a lot, family and business-wise. So if you don't mind, maybe just sharing some of your story. We'll do both sides. Your family, I want to talk a little bit about your family, but also obviously your dedication to the sport and your business ventures. So yeah, if you want to kind of start maybe how you got started with all of this, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no problem. So basically in 2006, I was working at a traditional style gym. I was working the front desk when I was in high school. And then when I got into college, I wanted to make more money. And so I got into sales. And so at the time, it's like 2006, 2007, I was working sales, and I actually proposed. Well, I proposed shortly after that to my wife. And I graduated from college in 2008. And at that time, I was trying to decide, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And after some interviews, it didn't go the way I wanted them to. I realized that corporate America wasn't for me. So when I graduated from college in 2008, at the time I had found CrossFit, and I decided to open up a gym. The same time I opened up the gym, I ended up winning the CrossFit Games, and I proposed to my wife maybe, a couple months before. So we met when we were 14 in high school, right? Mm-hmm. And so fast forward, won the CrossFit Games, started the business, and then never really looked back. Got married in 2009, competed in the sport of CrossFit for the next 8 years, and built the business, started expanding globally into corporate wellness and different things. Now we have locations in 8 different countries. And we had our first child, Ava, in 2011. And then we had our son in 2014. And then my daughter in 2016 was diagnosed with leukemia. And she just finished treatment about a week ago. So it's like a little over a 2-year process for her specific type of leukemia. And so over the last couple of years, we've learned a lot. And so I just think it's a really unique dynamic where I got to meet somebody I really care about at a very young age and married her. I found a job that I really fell in love with and was able to make it into something I could actually make a living with. And obviously the children have been awesome, but there's been some challenges, obviously, with my daughter, and they've only made our family stronger. We've learned so much about it, and we're in a good place right now.
I mean, a lot of questions come to mind here. I can't imagine. Obviously, I have 2 young daughters myself, and I just can't imagine one of them being diagnosed with something like that. So, last 2 years, obviously, been crazy. You spent a ton of time at hospitals and doctors, and so I think you just said you just finished up her treatment. So at this stage, what's next? I mean, it's just monitored now?
Yes, like yesterday we were in the hospital, and she had an echo on her heart, or an echo on her heart, and then she had her blood work done. So basically what happens now is, we've spent months in the hospital. We've done a lot of stuff. And now we're at a point where, thankfully, we just go back for monthly blood work to confirm leukemia has not came back. And so, anxiety is a little high right now. I think it will be a little high for at least the next 6 months. We just got to get into a rhythm. We kind of found a rhythm. The first 6 months to a year of her treatment was really, really bad. And then we kind of found our rhythm for the next year. But now we need to find our new rhythm because she doesn't have a port. And so we need to learn how to access her vein a little bit easier. We need to make sure that once a month we're doing everything we can we're just doing little things. Everything's just kind of shifted. And now it's more like we go back once a month just to confirm leukemia hasn't came back. And so I think for us, it's just about recognizing that's outside of our control right now. And what's in our control is making sure that every time we go to the hospital that she has a good experience because we're going to be doing this for the next 5 years. So I want to make sure those memories are as positive as possible.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually just going to say that about you. I mean, you strike me as a very positive guy, given the situation. I mean, what do you think it's done to your mindset as a whole being part of this? I mean, have you started to look at your own mortality and realize how fragile life is and really living in the moment? Has that come into play for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you learn a lot about family. You learn a lot about close friends. And mostly learn about perspective. Sometimes I see people just being so pissed off about something so simple. And every time I go to the hospital and I see, especially nowadays, because I'm not in the hospital as much as I used to be. And, I was there yesterday and there was times where, we spent probably 3 months in the hospital. So when you're there every day, you kind of become numb to some of the stuff. But when you go back there once a month, you just get humbled by what's going on in this world. And I think that's been a big thing that we've been trying to focus on is just never forgetting how grateful we are that we have our health. And it just changes your whole perspective on things, the way you carry yourself, the way you walk around with your compassion. And it's specifically what the importance of family is. I think you don't really realize it until your back's really up against the wall. And those are the people that kind of come in and really save your ass.
Sure. I mean, so how old are you right now?
32.
30. Okay. So it's still a pretty young guy. So, what just blows my mind. I know you've lived a lot of years in those years. Yeah.
Well, because of business and because of having kids and getting married at a young age, there's definitely been some adversity. And so it's been good because one of the things that CrossFit, the sport, taught me is how to overcome or at least understand adversity from winning and losing in a sport. And how that translates to life is pretty incredible. And so at a relatively young age, I learned a lot from the sport of CrossFit on how to overcome these challenging times. And they definitely carried over into real life, which has been really a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, man, I just can't even wrap my head around the amount of stuff you get done. I mean, just Googling your name, right? You're everywhere, first of all, right? So you've written a book. I want to talk about that in a minute. I mean, you travel all over the world, it looks like, speaking. You've got multiple businesses online, offline. I think I read you have over 20 locations of CrossFit, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, we're called NC Fit. And so NC Fit, one of the programs we offer at some of our locations is CrossFit, but not at all of them. And so we offer basically functional style fitness training in companies and then just open to the public. So our open to the public locations are throughout the Bay Area, Mexico, and our corporate sites have taken us throughout Asia and towards the East Coast. And so it's been a really cool experience to get into both those realms because one is, really changing the lives of employees. And then the other is just open to the public as a traditional gym would be. And in regards to, you referenced the book, I've been working on this for a long time. So before my daughter got sick, I wanted to write a book about what I've seen in the workplace, that there's a lot of stuff out there that's like work an hour a week and you'll be rich. And from my experience, it just didn't really work out that way. Like I realized that you got to put in a lot of hard work for a very long period of time and be consistent. So I wanted to put out a message that whatever happened to good old hard work, right? That was the message. And then when Ava got sick, it kind of changed my whole perspective. And so over the last couple of years, I've been really trying to format what is a really huge takeaway for someone. I think the underlying theme is the reason why we should work hard is not necessarily because we want to be rich and have nice watches and a house. Those are byproducts. But the same way like we want to go into the gym is we want to go into the gym so that we stay away from sickness. We stay away from medications. We stay away from assisted livings. And we want to work hard so we could basically create this piggy bank so that God forbid if anything ever happened to you, you have a nice buffer. Because I've seen firsthand families who they get hit by something, whatever that may be. That could be a challenge in the family. It could be divorce. It could be child gets sick. And it just ruins people specifically because a financial burden comes in. And money's not everything, but it surely makes things more easy when you're in the hospital for 3 months and you can't pay your bills. It becomes very challenging, more stress. And so my motivation for this book is to let people know about something I call the AMRAP mentality, which is basically this concept of looking at your day in terms of an AMRAP in CrossFit is as many rounds or reps as possible. And so when you're doing it, that's all you're doing. You're just focused on getting as many pushes as you can in 1 minute. And if you look at your day as an AMRAP, it's a really great way to be efficient with your time. So when you're at work, be at work. When you're at home, be at home. And be as efficient as you can with what you're doing. You're not going to be on your emails and working out at the same time. You're not going to be playing with your kids while being on the phone. Either do that or do the other. And I think right now we're in a digital age where you could be engaged all the time. And I think it's important that if you could try and segment your day into mini AMRAPs and you switch gears throughout your day, like right now I'm at work, when I get home, I'm at home. It's a way to be a lot more productive with the same amount of time throughout the duration of the day. And so that's the message. The book should be coming out here in the next couple of months. We really just taken our time with it because it's very much so a passion project for me. It's very much so I want to donate pretty much all the money from it to pediatric cancer. I'm not doing this book to make money. I'm doing it to share a message of when Ava got sick, a lot of things were outside of my control and it was a very stressful time. And it's been stressful for a lot of years. But the one thing that my wife and I never had to worry about was money. And I think that alone really helped us out a lot. And I've seen families who aren't as fortunate and it causes a lot of problems in the household. And so the motivation for the book is to tell people, let's embody this AMRAP mentality. Let's get out there. Let's grind. Let's work hard. Not because of Rolexes and fine cars, but just to put ourselves in a position that if anything ever happened, we would be able to attack it.
Sure. I love that whole mindset of just getting after it and giving it your all. As you know, most people tend to go through life doing as little as possible, just eking out an existence and punching a clock until they're old enough to retire. And then, they can go play golf. And to me, it's incredibly sad, but
right.
I just love seeing that. So, I mean, how does someone get started? Someone that's been sitting on their butt for 15 years and was just getting through life. How can they get started with a mentality like that, which is, I mean, you're full steam go. I mean, that's probably an extreme case for most people, but for the average person, I mean, what would you tell them?
Well, I think it's baby steps. So I've been in the fitness space now for 15 years. I've owned a gym now for a decade, 10 years, right? And I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of people come through the doors. And there's always these people who come in who have these huge aspirations, right? I'm going to eat clean. I'm going to work out 6 days a week, blah, blah. And they come in for a couple months and they burn out. So my recommendation is just to start easy. You don't need to make these huge steps. I think what happens is people listen to a podcast like this, they get inspired, which is cool. That's what they should get. But then they get inspired and they want to go out there and go from 0 to 100 real quick. And what you need to do is you need to create these habits, or you need to make it a routine. And so the first thing that people could do is start utilizing exercise as a way to kind of encourage them to be more productive. So an example would be you go out for a 10-minute walk. That's it. Just go out, get a 10-minute walk. And that's a huge accomplishment because maybe it's something you didn't do the day before. And then maybe in the future, you start doing a 7-minute workout in your room of push-ups, squats, and sit-ups. And what you start doing is you're using exercise as a means to develop a mindset. And the mindset is, wow, look how much work I just got done by doing, let's just say, squats and push-ups and sit-ups in 7 minutes. I got more work done in 7 minutes than I did typically at the gym when I would walk around, do a set, be on my phone for 5 minutes, do another set, be on my phone for another 10 minutes. And so if you could start constructing your day as if it was an AMRAP, where you really approach each piece being present and focused on whatever you're doing, I think that's the first step. And you don't need to make big steps. It's just baby steps. Just go do some burpees. And then if you don't feel like exercising, that's not really like something that someone's interested in, that's fine. I would encourage them to, but if they don't, the one they can start doing is attacking their day, understand what do they want to focus on, why, then make sure they work hard at it, then switch gears throughout the duration of the day and be present about it. And I think that alone is going to make them more productive. Because what they're going to start realizing is they're going to be at work and they're going to want to go jerk around on Facebook for an hour. And then they're going to realize that they only got halfway through their project and then they have to come back and it takes them another 15, 20 minutes to get back in the mindset to get back into it. And so what they should have is just completed the project. They could have been much more productive with that duration of time.
Definitely easier said than done with so many.
Very much so easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I work from home and I try to focus, but yeah, there's so many things. The phone's going off, the Facebook pops up, I got to put something on Instagram. It's never ending. And I rarely struggle with even having that mindset. So,
and I think awareness is just the first step, right? I mean, and for me as well, right? And for all of us, I think that's the key.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I know it too, but I just haven't done it. So you said something about inspiration, and I think there's a difference between motivation and inspiration. And I teach my clients and the dads in my community, motivation comes and goes. You see a video or something cool, or you hear a speech that fires you up and you go out and you're motivated for an hour, a day, a week. But inspiration comes from a much deeper place. And I always say, listen, find your why. What's the real reason you want to lose 20 pounds? I mean, everybody wants to look better. Everybody would like to have a flatter stomach, but why is it so important to you? So you kind of gotta dig. So I'm curious to know I probably have an idea of what your why is, but I want to hear what your why is, because your commitment to your business and your sport, it takes away a lot of time, obviously, from your family. I mean, I know you're a family guy, but you're away a lot. So there's obviously a deeper inspiration of why you're doing so many things at such a high level.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, so for years, my why was I wanted to express my fitness against the best in the world and see where I stacked up. I wanted to put myself back up against the wall and see if I could break through it. I wanted to make a commitment to something and go out there and do what I said I was going to do. And I love training. And so the expression of that training was through the CrossFit Games. And that was something that was really important in my life for a very long time. But as soon as my daughter got sick, and even before that, so I competed as an individual 7 times. And then I competed on a team for 1 year because I realized that business and life was just getting too chaotic. I couldn't balance everything, right? And then the final piece was as soon as Ava got sick, I mean, it was a very easy decision for me. So talking about what you're sharing, it's a no-brainer for me. So the night she was diagnosed, the Open started a couple months, like a month or 2 later, which was something I needed to participate in if I wanted to compete at the games at all. And as soon as she got sick, it was a very easy decision. I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, you have to identify your priorities and identify what you want to focus on. You can only focus on so many things. I'm not going to go out there and go leave the hospital to go do a workout when my daughter needs all the care we could provide. And so what I did is I used exercise at that time to relieve my stress, to keep me inspired. I would work out in the parking garage. I brought a truck there and put all the equipment in it. And that for me was the fitness outlet. But utilizing what you're sharing is everybody can only identify so many focuses. And I think most people have 3, right? Their business, man, make some money, their family or their friends, and then some third. Some people use that as a bar. Some people use that as whatever. For me, it was fitness. And for a long time, that fitness was expressed through competition. Now it's just getting good workouts to relieve stress. And I think as far as my current why, where I'm at today, I've had to realize that I've grown up. And my current why is I've seen firsthand what's sustainability. And that's my motivation to build something special, is that I want to provide for my family for the rest of their life. That's my internal drive to work hard. But it's also to do more for other people. And so our business is we have a very simple model. I started the business to do what I love for a living and to provide for my family. Now we want to provide that to as many employees as possible so they could hopefully provide for their families and do what they love for a living. Then as a byproduct, what we do is we start creating this culture of fitness where all these people are coming in, they're getting more fit, and the coaches are earning their wages. But it creates this cool community of thousands and thousands of people. And then what we do with that community is we go impact more lives. And so what Ashley and I are highly, highly devoted to now for life will be supporting families going through pediatric cancer forever. And so my why is let's build this business as big as possible. Let's generate the profits we need so we could then give back to more people. So my wife and I do a lot of fundraising. We are highly philanthropic because we've seen the darker side and we want to make that as a lifetime commitment and our why forever.
Wow. So how are you spending your days now, being pulled in so many directions?
I like to work out every morning. I either train CrossFit style or I do jiu-jitsu or I do both. I'm a big fan of both. And I like to obviously I'm going to work out once, twice a day, period. They're going to be fast, going to be aggressive. I like to take classes at our gyms, but I travel a lot. And so when I'm not traveling, I try and balance being at home with the kids and trying to get home for dinner every night. But I travel quite often because we have locations all over and it's a good way to expand our brand. And so for most days, what I do is I come into the office every now and then. I go into their gyms every day. Every day is a little bit different because I never know what's going to be in store. Tomorrow I'm going to go meet a client a couple hours from here to go talk about a new project. Today, I have a lot of calls set up, and so I might be in the office more. It's actually my son's birthday, so I want to try and get home a little early to go out to dinner with them. And so every day is just trying to find a balance between the different priorities. What I like to do, and this is maybe something your listeners might like, is at night before I go to bed, I just ask myself a very simple question, how did I do as a husband, as a father, as a business owner, and with my fitness today? And if I look at it and there was kind of a gap in a certain area, then I try and improve the next day. So when I travel throughout Asia and I'm working, well, obviously I'm excelling on the business side. I might not be excelling as much on the other sides. And so when I get back, I need to kind of right the pendulum, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I think if you do these mini checkups, with yourself as often as possible, I don't think you'll ever get to a point in your life where you're having these huge epiphanies because you've been checking in with yourself on a regular basis.
Yeah, I really like that, taking an inventory of yourself at night. So let me ask you this. This just came to mind, but when you lose, I mean, obviously you're not going to win every time. So when you lose, how does that affect your overall mentality? I mean, you probably know when most people fail, even in the short term, oh, I didn't hit my goal or I didn't hit my PR or whatever, they quit. Well, it's not working, or the diet's not working. This workout sucks, or whatever. And they just stop and they're right back to where they started. So, I mean, you've obviously experienced a lot of highs and wins and success, but also lost plenty of times as well in highly competitive situations. So, I mean, it's something you just shake off and say, I'll do better next time.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm very competitive, right? And so I don't think it's something where you just shake it off. We're going through a little business thing right now where some would say we lost, but I would say we actually won. And I think it's just the way you look at it. We have this partnership that we're going to be dissolving. And the reason why we're doing it is because of multiple reasons. And from some people's outsiders' perspective, they look at it, and we're on a business sense. I'm talking, say, hey, that was a loss for the business because we lost revenue. But then I would be able to identify reasons why it was actually a positive, right? We were able to identify what our brand is. We have deeper engagement now with our staff because we get to see the type of culture we're trying to create. There's a lot of positives. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I've passed out in front of thousands of people doing CrossFit events. I've failed a lot of times, but in the moment, it's kind of shocking. But if you really reflect back on it, I think all those challenges actually help you to become and shape where you end up getting to. And I think no better example of that than with Ava getting sick. Had I not had to overcome some challenges through CrossFit experience, I don't know if my wife and I would have handled her sickness as well as we did. I'll give you an example. We had been in the hospital for a while and she wasn't doing very good. And this is probably the most extreme case that anybody will listen to for a while. But I mean, we were sitting there and her blood pressure was dropping and her heart rate was spiking and it was a problem. So the doctor comes in, he's like, hey, look, if we don't get clarity here in the next 1 minute, I'm going to call in a team. And this team's going to come in. It's going to be 25 people and it's going to be intense, right? Like he kind of prepped us for it. Sure enough, she didn't recover. And so they called in this emergency response team. So they all come screaming in. This doctor's going crazy. I mean, it's super, super, super intense. And my wife and I, when the doctors take us to the ICU, we start, trying to identify things that were positive about the experience. What I mean by that is like in the moment, we try to utilize positive self-talk and understanding what was in and out of our control. And I think that would have only came from having pros and cons in our life, going through challenging other times, because all of a sudden you're in the most heated time of your entire life, period. And because of the losses you've had prior in your life and the opportunities you've had to have where you had to step up to the plate and kind of move forward on a micro scale, now in this major, major life-threatening situation, we're able to use that as a positive. But it would never have been there had we not gone through those challenging times before. And so I guess losses, if you really look at them as what they are, they could actually just be building blocks for in the future when things are really bad. And you need to rely on how you got through those smaller losses to utilize positive self-talk. I guess that's an example.
So what's your biggest struggle with all this? I would imagine, and you'll tell me in a second, but that it's mental. I mean, keeping it together mentally and emotionally versus the physical piece, because your heartstrings are being pulled with your daughter and you're emotionally invested, obviously financially invested in multiple businesses. And so you've just got so much happening there. I mean, what keeps you from just cracking?
I don't really feel an urge to crack. I mean, I think for me, it's just we have a really good team. I really, really like the people I'm working with right now. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of self-fulfillment on a lot of different things we're doing right now. And so I'm highly inspired and highly motivated right now. Probably never been more so in my entire life, to be honest with you. And highly inspired and highly motivated me, I've found in the past that once I really, truly find this deep desire to go out there and do something, I find a unique way to get there. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is I'm at a place where I'm really motivated to make a big impact, to grow the business, to provide for families that are going through challenging times, and to create a culture of just positivity and do that for as many people as possible. And so that's what keeps me going every day. I don't know what it is exactly, but I'm just very internally driven, specifically right now, but I have been for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds it. I mean, just the way you put that spin on it, it makes so much sense. But when I look at your life, or someone looks at your life from the outside, they have to think there's so much pressure, there's so much stress, there's this and that. But the way you're looking at it, it sounds like, is from the opposite side. It's an opportunity to help people. It's all good things.
It's all good things. I mean, I honestly feel like there's been somebody looking out for us. And with my daughter being sick, I mean, again, I really feel like you can call it God, whatever you believe in, someone has our back, someone's looking out for us. And now we got to return the favor for a lot of people. And that's why I'm really, really motivated. Look, I've gone through some very stressful times in my life. Competing at the CrossFit Games, competing in all these different events was very, very stressful. You're going in front of thousands and thousands of people. We've prepared for major surgeries and different things with my daughter, right? Those are very stressful situations. So compared to that, when you put it in perspective, everything else kind of falls short of that, if that makes sense, right? Like before you go out on the major stage in front of thousands of people, there's a lot of anxiety. Before my daughter she was put to sleep 27 times. Every time she was put to sleep was a lot of anxiety. So I guess what I'm trying to say is compared to all of that, most other things are it's just business. It's all good. Like, because if you really look at it with perspective like that, you start to just realize that some things that might seem like a really big deal just aren't as big of a deal.
Sure. So let me ask you this. I don't know, we're probably going to wrap it up here shortly. I want to be very mindful of your time. So obviously you have a great deal of knowledge, experience about performing at a very high level. So most of the dads listening here aren't there. 99.9% of them aren't. And probably a lot of them aren't even athletes. So in your opinion as a coach, what would you say would be a couple of ways that they could get started, or maybe even how you teach your clients that are coming right off of a desk and haven't worked out in 10 years and just want to look better, move better, have more energy, more confidence, be more attractive for their wife, those types of things? How do you get them started, that type of person?
I think they need to know why they're doing what they're doing. That's the first step, like you said before. I've met a lot of dads who come in, they're overweight, they look way older than they should, right? It's because they haven't been exercising. They don't have any energy for their kids. And it's like, for me, it's like the motivation is, yesterday I was riding my bike with my son. I don't have to worry ever. If either one of my kids comes up to me and says, let's go do X, I don't have to worry at all about any physical limitations at all. And I think that's the huge driving force, is that the older you get, I'm 32 now, but imagine by the time I'm 50, I need to keep up with this forever. And fitness is not like a 1 week or a 1 month goal. It's a lifelong journey, because I want to be able to keep up with my grandkids. I want to be able to keep up with my kids. I want to be able to wrestle with my son until I'm whatever age, right? And I think that's the strong motivator for a lot of the dads listening, is that you don't want to be that guy who your son wants to go out and go ride his bike or go for a jog or go walk, and you can't do it because you're not physically capable, or go jump in the pool, but you can't do it. And I think the first step to getting there is first recognizing that that's a goal that you have in your life, is to be able to be there for them, for these physical situations, and then go out there and find a coach. But I think at least in my opinion, everyone should be inspired to be able to keep up with their kids. I don't know anybody who would say, oh no, I don't really desire to be able to swim with my kids. I don't really desire to be able to keep up with my kids on a bike. That doesn't seem fun. Like, I don't know anybody who would ever say that. And so I think the first step would be finding a coach to help you along that journey. That could be at a local CrossFit gym. That could be a trainer. That could be anybody. But finding someone to hold you accountable, I think, is really important. So if you haven't done it, if one of these guys haven't done it in their life by the time they're 30 or 40 or 50, then they probably need someone else to help them hold themselves accountable. Everybody's a professional generally at something, right? Let's just say you're a barista, you're a financial analyst, whatever you are, you're an expert at it. People come to you for your expertise in whatever that you are doing, right? It could be making sandwiches, it could be anything. And so the challenge with fitness is a lot of people think they could do it themselves, and they can, but they need some guidance and direction. They could find that in a lot of different ways.
I think you just nailed it right there, accountability. And that's when I coach my programs, my workouts, whatever. I have a bunch of groups that I manage on Facebook. It's all, accountability is the piece that holds it all together. Because like you said, they don't have that. They never have had that. I can't just give them a workout, or you can't just give them a workout and say, all right, here it is, just follow this. It's going to last for about 3 days, and they're going to lose interest, or they're going to get off course. They're going to go to McDonald's, and it just doesn't happen. So the accountability piece is massive.
Yeah, I just started doing consulting for 5 gyms we picked, and part of it is just holding people accountable. They know what to do. You just need someone to hold you accountable, and it's really important. So I just think for any father out there, there's no higher motivation in this entire world than to get up and get off your ass and work hard in the gym and out of the gym for your kids. I just can't think of anything else.
Oh, absolutely. It's at the top. Every dad that I've ever coached has said that's the main goal, is to be able to keep up with their kids. And they want to be around for their kids, but Guys these days, I mean, they're carrying 30, 40, 50 pounds around their waist. They're in terrible shape. They can't even walk up a flight of stairs. And yeah, they start worrying, am I going to drop dead from a heart attack at 60, 55?
Right. And they just need to realize they just need to start. The big takeaway is people want to, again, they want to think it's so crazy. It's not crazy. Just jump on a spin bike every morning for 10 minutes. Just start doing something. Just go for a walk with your family at night. It's not a big deal, but you got to start somewhere. And if you don't start, you'll never start, right? But you don't need to make it into something bigger than it is. One of the things we like to do is we like to do walks after dinner every night. 15-minute walks. No big deal. Just go out with your family. Bring some flashlight. It's just exercise. You're also then supporting your children, trying to show them that it's important to move. My wife is a badass. She works out in the garage every day. And I couldn't be happier with it because my children see her grinding it out in the gym. And it just shows it's one expression of hard work that's very easy to see versus like working hard on computer. Most people can't. It doesn't directly correlate in the children's eye. But I think if you watch your family working hard in the gym, it's a really nice correlate.
Oh, absolutely. My 12-year-old daughter, we lead by example here. And she started going to a gym with me recently. She's in a class every Saturday. And if that doesn't happen, then I go with her and we work out together. And, you know, she's like every other 12-year-old. She doesn't really want to do it. But now, after months and months, she wants to do it. She's asking me. She starts tracking her own foods and say, Dad, what do you think about this? Is this, look what I did. Look what I ate instead of typical mac and cheese. I had this. So I don't ever push her and say, you need to do this, or it's not about weight or anything like that. It's about being healthy and making healthy choices. And that's what we teach. And it's so important.
It's very important, you know, especially for chemotherapy patients. You know, one of the biggest concerns that we have for chemotherapy patients is that they gain a ton of weight. And it's because they've been on steroids now. Ava's been on steroids now for over 2 years, right? And when you get off the steroids and when you get off the chemo, your taste buds just kick in like crazy. And so they say excessive weight gain is a major, major problem. And so for us, we're really trying to be sensitive to that because this could be lifelong effects if we don't approach it the right way. And so we're trying to approach it in a way where it's like, it's a family thing, right? We're just eating. We're not on a diet. This is just the way we eat. We don't have soda in the house. We just eat this specific way, right? We're not crazy. But we just eat this way, right? And we go for walks and we start there. And then hopefully what will happen is a passion for movement will just start to organically occur as like a daily habit. It's not something we even think about, right? We just move because we're humans and that's what's going on.
Absolutely. Is there anywhere specific that you want people to find you online?
Well, JasonKhalipa.com is obviously a good spot. But I mean, I'm probably most active on Instagram, Jason Khalipa. I enjoy it. You know, I just share kind of a little bit of perspective, a little bit of family stuff. And in the future, just stay tuned for the AMRAP Mentality book. I'll be able to promote it or let people know about it, at least on Instagram. That'll be coming out sometime in like, I want to say June, July, August timeframe. But we want it to be done right. And so that's the best place to find me though.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to get that book. But anyway, Jason, you know, I know you have a bunch of stuff to do. You're a busy, busy guy and appreciate you taking your time, especially on your son's birthday. So thank you so much for taking this call and sharing some of your history with us.
All good. All good. Well, I hope you have a great afternoon and thank you again for your time.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.